In this video, I walk through importing of bank and credit card data into your Excel spreadsheet. Specifically, we'll be looking at CSV file that is exported from your bank or credit card company and imported into the Managing My Money Excel sheet. If you do not have access to this sheet, you can view the linked video, which gives you instructions on how you can download this free tool. For those who do have access, let's go ahead and proceed. This is assuming that you have version 4.0 or later of the sheet. If you don't, you can go to the same download link and upgrade. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the Accounts tab. You need an account in order to import your data into. Most of you who are using the sheet already have an account, so you can skip this step. But for those who are starting from a clean sheet with no data at all, I'll go through the process. So first on the Accounts tab, you'll pick the second line on the top that says, I will be manually entering transactions or importing CSV files. And you'll put yes. When you put yes, that will enable the accounts lines at the bottom so you can register the account that we will be importing the data into. So in this case, you can put your account name, your institution name. Here I'll put Fort Knox as an example. The account name, I'll put Fort Knox Secure Checking. Alias is optional, I'll leave it blank, and the type here is checking. So I've defined at this point an account that I can import data into the spreadsheet, but because it's a new account, I need to put a starting balance. Now, the starting balance is going to be the first balance that in the account representing the value of the account before your first imported or manually entered transaction. So in this case, I'm going to put a value of $3,000, and that is as of the 20th of August, 2022. And that's because in this example, we're starting clean. I'm going to import data starting on the 21st of August or 22nd, I forget, all the way through end of September and then beyond. And you'll be able to see that I need the starting balance for it to capture the balances correctly. So I'll click Update Starting Balance. By clicking this button, it will enter the transactions to set up that starting balance. And you'll see here it says, okay, I've successfully set the starting balance, and it shows me my balance of $3,000. Okay, now that I have set that up, I want to import data into this account. So just click the Import Data button. Now, there's an import source. You'll notice that there's different types of ways you can import data into the Managing My Money sheet. Tiller Money Feed, Quicken, Mint, and CSV. Now, I have separate videos on the importing from these other sources. Today, we're going to focus on importing from CSV files. Now, this screen is pretty powerful because it's a universal importer that allows you to pull in data from almost any institution. In the financial industry, there is not a standard for how data is exported in CSV files. So every bank, every credit card company could have both different headers in the files, different columns, and even the data within the files, the way they present the vendor name or the transaction that's happening, the amount can vary widely, can be very different. But from this screen, you can handle all of them. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to set up, this has a concept of a map. We're going to set up a map, which is how to import data from a particular institution's file. Once you've defined that, it's very easy to reuse that in the future. And I'll show you how to do that. So we're starting from scratch here. I'm going to go ahead and pull in some data for, I'm going to take my Fort Knox checking for August. I think it was like the 22nd through end of September. I've gone to that. I logged into my bank account. I went to my transactions and I said I want to export it. And it gave me an option of how to export the data. And I chose CSV and I exported it. I opened up that CSV file and I copied the contents of it. And I'm going to paste that here. So let me go ahead and paste that in here. Oh, I guess I did not copy it correctly. So let me go ahead and grab that data right now, copy it. I'll come over here and I'll say paste. Okay, so this is the data. Now, the CSV file exported from my bank gives me these columns: an account, a date, a description, a note, a check number, amount, and balance. As I mentioned, other banks or credit card companies might have different headers and different contacts. They might have more columns, less columns. In this case, let's see how we can import this data. So the first thing that we want to do is to, on this top yellow row, map the column below to the column that we want to import it into in our system. So account, I don't need, you'll see here there's no account option here because I don't need to import the account name. That's the same all the way down. Okay, date, I do have a date, so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, this is date. It'll format that as a date. Description, okay, I do have a description. I'll pick that. Note, well, I don't really have a note here, but I can pick multiple description columns. I'll just pick description. It'll import everything across all description columns into that into the description column in my system. Okay, check number. So there is a check number. Amount, there is an amount. Balance, we don't really need to import the balance. There is a balance option. I'll pick that here, but it will compute the balance for you. Okay, now that we have this, let me just say that we have to, one of the things before you import is you have to have a vendor name. We have to have a place where it can pull the vendor name out of, right? So when I come over here to vendor handling, it'll ask me, do I want to import the data from the vendor column here or from the cleaned vendor names? What cleaned vendor names mean, and we'll go through this in a second, is it will take whatever column I have described as having the vendor name, and it will clean out all the data around it and just pull out the vendor names for me. So in this case, the best practice is to use the cleaned vendor name. So I'll just pick that one. Okay. Category handling, it asks, do I want to use category suggestions or a category mapped column? Now you'll notice here that category is an option for me to import into, but I don't really have, the data file provided by my bank did not have a category column. There is no category information, so I'll just use the default, which is category suggestions. Okay, now select the account to import into. So remember we added the Fort Knox secure checking, so that's the one I'm going to import data into. Okay, so now we're ready to import, but we're not really ready to import because even though I have mapped date, description, check number, amount, and balance to my import, I'm missing something. I'm missing the vendor name. It does not know where to pull the vendor name from. So if I click import, it's going to say mappings are required for date, vendor, and amount. We have a date, we have an amount, we don't have a vendor. So when I look at what my bank calls description, I can see that within the description, it has the vendor name stuck in there. I see Amazon here, I see SpaceX Cafe here, Bombay Bazaar here, etc., Kroger here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and call this the vendor. Even though it says description, this is the source that has the vendor names in it. So I will pick it as the vendor name. Now this is the column, because it's marked vendor, that it's going to use to clean the vendor names from, right? And we're going to use the cleaned vendor names. So I could import now. I have enough information to import, but I don't want it to import this as my vendor name. I want to clean the vendor names first. So the way we do that is we go down to the bottom here, and you'll see that there is, you scroll down, it says vendor name cleaning. And you can put in strings that you want to remove from the vendor name that you don't want imported. So looking at the top, card purchase, card purchase. I see card purchase all over the place. So what I can do is I can come down here and type in card purchased. Now note that these are case sensitive. So I'm going to hit apply, and you'll see that it went ahead and removed card purchase from all of these. So I'm getting closer, right? Now I can see that there's another thing here, which is called this Thrive Life. It has this URL at the ending. I'm going to go ahead and just strip that out because I know I pull from Thrive Life every month. That's going to be a recurring thing, so I don't want to be seeing that every time. So I'll hit apply, and we'll look over here. It's pulled out Thrive Life. Now I can see that another one, ACH withdrawal. ACH withdrawal occurs on many of these. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and take ACH withdrawal out as well here. And you'll see that as you do these, you can be hitting the button to see the impact of that to make sure it's good. So now this is my description right over here. This is the raw vendor name. I'm mapping to vendor name, but I'm not going to import this one. I'm going to import the clean vendor name. That's what I selected here. And you can see that so far it's looking good. Now, there's another thing I notice is that the name of my city, Midland, Texas, is in there quite a lot, right? Because a lot of these, and I don't want it to show those because it's just overkill to be putting that in every time. So I'll put in Midland, Texas. I also saw that it's in there in lowercase because, and this is case sensitive. So I'm going to put it in there twice and hit apply. And you'll see that now we're getting better. I'm not going to worry about draft because these are check numbers and I'm going to have to type in who it's for anyways. I'll just leave those the way they are. If I look down here, another one that looks of interesting is this. Let's see, anything else? I think that gives the point though. Here's another one with a URL, HTTPS. So I'll go ahead and take this one and I will get rid of that URL because again, if it was a one-off thing, I wouldn't worry about it. But since this is something that I'm going to see transactions for in the future for future imports, I'll go ahead and put that on here. Okay, I think that's a pretty good. Now you can continue going a bill payment withdrawal. Okay, let's do this Netflix one because you'll see that it has two things. It has bill payment withdrawal on the front end, and it has this Los Gatos CA at the back end. So I'll just put in both of those. I want to strip that out, and I want to strip out this this location from the back end. And you'll see that Netflix. Oh, I missed something. What did I miss? This this I. Bill payment withdrawal. I forgot the L on the withdrawal. So let me put that in there. So that's just why this helps you to see what you did. I put in there, hit apply again. Okay, there we go. Netflix.com, right? So I'm not going to finish here, but you can go through and clean these up. Now, the nice thing is when you have this all done, you can now you can give this configuration, which includes your mappings. It includes these the vendor cleaning names, and you can give it a name. In this case, I'll call this one Fort Knox, and I'll say add. So I've just now added a map called Fort Knox. And now I'll show you what that does. If I clear the sheet, right, it clears everything. Let's say I'm now in the future, clearing the sheet, starting out from scratch. There's nothing here. And I then go in and I want to import that same data. I go here, I paste it in here. I don't need to go through the whole set of things that I picked just now. I can just now go to my existing maps and click Fort Knox and hit apply. And you'll see that when I hit apply, it will automatically put in all the maps on the top. It will automatically import all of the vendor name cleaning rules. So now we go ahead and say import and confirm the import. And then you'll see that here we go. All it says we've added 105 new transactions. And if we look here, we see, remember the starting balance that we had put in? There's the starting balance. And then on the 22nd of we have all the transactions going down. You'll see the vendor names show up on this column here. And that is how you import data into CSV files, into the Managing My Money tool. So you can import, you can create on the import screen. Right now we only have one map, but let's say that I had my credit card company had a different set of column names in their file. I could create a different mapping, and they probably have, the credit card probably does not use things like ACH withdrawal, or they might not have these same cleaning rules. I can set up a whole new set of cleaning rules, a whole set of mapping, and save that as a new map called credit card, right? So when in the future, if I ever want to import data extracted from my Fort Knox checking account, I simply apply that map and import. And if I want to import from my credit card company, I'll pick the credit card map, hit apply, and then import. And it's just that simple. It just takes a little bit of setup the very first time you import it from a new institution to set up all of the mappings. There's one other thing that there's a couple of things we didn't go over. This reverse sign. So it's simply a yes, no, right? And typically that's only used in the amount column. Some institutions have, instead of a single amount column, you'll see that this one has an amount column which has positive and negative values for debits and credits, right? Some institutions actually have a debit column and a credit column instead of a single amount column. In those cases, you can map both of them to amount. If you have a debit and a credit, you can map the debit one to amount, and you can map the credit one to amount, and it'll handle both of them. You can have two amounts columns, right? However, in some cases, the debit, let's say this is the debit column in some institutions has it as a positive value. It's just letting you know, since it's debit, you should know it's negative. If it's coming in as a positive value and it's a debit, you can say reverse the sign. That's what this does. This reverses the sign. So if it says debit, but it's a positive values all the way down, and the credit is also positive values all the way down, your debit one, you can set the reverse sign to yes, and that will, when it imports, it'll convert it to a negative to reverse it out. That's the only use for this reverse sign. The other thing I was going to mention, and by the way, the instructions are down here under information. It describes here that on the amount, you can have two columns mapped to amount, because some institutions have a debit and a credit. And you can have any number of description columns. It will just append all of them together and put those in the track description column, right? And that is pretty much it. That is how you import data into Managing My Money tool from CSV. I hope you have value, again, from this, that you can start using this right away. For those who do not have access to this tool, again, there is a link here at the end. You can click on it, and it will give you a description about the tool and how you can request to download it. Thank you very much.